This is actually coming from a woman named Lizzie. This is her Ring camera footage that she captured on the night of August 11th, 2025. And it is probably one of the wildest, craziest glitches I've ever seen. And we're actually seeing it in real time. Now, these missionaries come to her house about 8:41 at night. She doesn't answer the door, speaks to them through Ring, but this is when it gets really creepy, other than the fact that two women are showing up in the middle of the night who are saying that they're missionaries. You can see in the first camera footage, their dresses are pink and it's a certain style. Pay attention to the style of the dress. As they walk to the porch, the whole dress completely changes. The style, everything, the color, everything. This is not a trick of lighting. Their whole dresses completely change. What is going on here? Take a look at these next two videos, comment below and tell me what you think.
It is freaking creepy. 8:41, somebody knocks on the door, and then, hold on. Check out their outfits.
They're wearing two different dresses from what they were wearing.
Is nothing compared to what they were wearing.
And we saw them. They had polka dots. They had the dresses from
go
the...
back to the other one.
We literally just saw them and they were wearing...
And like, go fast forward, like it changes color.
This one is crazy. As if there weren't enough reason already to not open the door for a Jehovah's Witness. It's not very often that you see a video that is literally unexplainable. When I first saw this, my mind immediately went to, this must be a trick of the eyes caused by the lighting. But when you take the images and place them side by side, there's just no way that could be the explanation. The one lady has a very distinct pattern on the back of her dress. But then in the other image, there's no pattern on the back of her dress at all. I don't know what to think about this one. I bet the lady that owns the house is glad she didn't open the door though. She may want to report this to the police. With that level of deception taking place, there's just no way that these ladies are not up to no good.
So the Deagle report is a report that was leaked on a website called Deagle.com. And what's interesting is Deagle.com is just military talk. It's a website about military weapons, military strategies, military everything. Then somebody said that somebody super high up in the agencies decided to leak this report to kind of warn people about something. And this was in 2017 and it circled the internet, like, you know, conspiracy theorists were all over it. I was totally like into it. And then in 2020, it got wiped off the internet, like wiped off the internet. Like if you tried to upload it again, you would be flagged immediately. Right now it's back on the internet again and I think it's floating around. If not, I have it saved on my phone. Let me just show you guys. So according to the Deagle report, the United Kingdom is set to be depopulated by 77.1% by this year. Ireland is supposed to be by 72.4% depopulated by this year. The United States, and then you've got Australia right here. Then you have, where's Canada? Oh, Canada's right there. You've got Israel right there. And it's just really interesting. But then there's also a growth of population in the same report. Let me just show you that. So we start tapering off here and then it says Russia, where's Russia? I had it somewhere. It was like 0.5% depopulation for Russia. So right there is Russia. And then what's interesting is you get to all of these countries and they see a population growth from 2017 to 2025. And it seems like most of these countries, I'm not saying all, but most of these countries on here didn't push for the you-know-what in 2020. Now, what people also don't understand is that 2020 was actually supposed to happen between 2012 and 2016. So if you were really active in the conspiracy theory like stage, everybody knew that the was coming for Depop, right? And then they pretty much pushed it in 2020. And then I don't think it actually went as well as they thought it would, because I think they thought by 2025 they would have us completely in the 15-minute city digital prisons and that they would have created havoc. Luckily for us, what they created, the Schmobbit, didn't actually stick as well as it did when they released it in China at the military games, so that when everybody went home they would actually transfer that, you know, virus to everybody else. So what they did is they went through with it with lies and algorithm that they got from like previous viruses that they used to release, like Zika and all of that other stuff. And so now I'm wondering, is the Deagle report also behind on time, just like their plan for the you-know-what, by maybe a decade? Because I mean, AI is coming, there's way too many of us, and not many of us are going to have jobs. And that's a whole lot of issues for governments to just keep people sitting around eating uselessly.
I feel a little iffy on this one. Literally anyone could have made that and posted it online. Of course, it does have some suspicious circumstances surrounding it that will cause you to raise an eyebrow, but how would anyone have known back in 2017 which countries were going to force their citizens to take that jab? No one could have known. And the current population of the United States is 347.5 million people. So technically, we've experienced around 9.4% growth since 2017, and it's already halfway through August. When is this depopulation plan supposed to kick off? I'm not saying this is nothing, but unless these figures are like the estimates for the aftermath caused by the eruption of Yellowstone or something, I just don't see how this is supposed to come to fruition by the end of 2025. I would say that her theory toward the end makes a little sense, though. Maybe this is someone just trying to give us a heads up. Maybe it does just have the dates wrong. What do you guys think? Hey, don't forget to click like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my merch store at berry-stepp.com.
This guy, William Cooper, predicted 9/11 before Alex Jones, and this guy, William Cooper, hated Alex Jones.
Wow.
Said that Alex Jones was a fearmonger and potentially a disinformation agent. On June 28th, 2001, just months before 9/11, Cooper said the following on his radio show: "I'm telling you to be prepared for a major attack, but it won't be Osama bin Laden. It will be those behind the New World Order.
Oh my
They
gosh.
need a major attack in order to launch their plans for a world government and to take away your freedoms." So he said that in June 2001, before 9/11. But then on November 5th, cops showed up to his house to arrest him for tax evasion, ended up supposedly getting in a shootout. Weeks after 9/11.
What are we talking about?
Are we dumb?
Cooper didn't trust anyone. He despised UFO cults, even though he claimed to have seen UFOs while in the Navy, and later believed aliens were a government hoax. He believed aliens may be demonic in nature or part of a Luciferian deception. Disclosure will be fake and used to create a one world religion under the Antichrist. The more he actually started reading scripture and stuff, he changed his views on what aliens were. He said in 2000 on a broadcast, "The whole alien thing, it's a lie. The day they fake an alien landing, you better know it's the devil coming."
Oh my gosh.
This guy, William Cooper, though, man, he would have been
Great guest.
He was
wild.
He would have been an amazing guest.
This is certainly one of those topics that you have to be careful speaking on in a YouTube video, which is odd because I did track down this audio clip with him making this prediction on YouTube, but I'm going to show you a photo with a quote on it of what he actually said, and I'll post a link in the description of today's video to the video that I found with the audio of him actually making this prediction. So it's below the video if anyone's interested in checking it out, but this is pretty on the nose if you ask me. This guy was clearly taken out because he wasn't buying the propaganda, and because he was trying to wake other people up to the shady dealings of our federal government. I'm really surprised this hasn't been totally scrubbed from the internet already, especially considering that it's 24 years later and people still are not buying the official narrative.
To figure out what exactly Google is learning about us throughout the day. So here's what we're going to do. We have two identical phones. The only difference between these two phones is this one is in airplane mode. Both of the phones lack a SIM card, and they haven't been set up to access any Wi-Fi networks. So for all intents and purposes, these phones have no connection to a data network. We're going to keep them with us throughout the day. And while I travel around DC, we're going to figure out just what Google is finding out about me. Our first stop, Sim's convenience store, just outside our Fox Bureau, for a quick coffee. From there, we took a walk to the Capitol and took a quick walk around the Senate office buildings, and then decided to hop in a car and head around town. Hello. To run our test, we had to do more than walk the block, so we took a tour around our nation's capital. First, Children's National Medical Center Hospital, then west to St. Albans School and the National Cathedral. The entire time, the phones had no access to the internet. Oh my goodness. Not a Wi-Fi connection and not any cellular data service. It almost seemed quaint to assume that Google wouldn't even be able to collect data on me. Let's head back to the Bureau, my friend. Google's business model is simple. Collect data on its users and then use that data to sell targeted ads. It's a business model called surveillance capitalism. But does that critical data collection work even when your phones aren't connected? So we're back here at our Fox Bureau in DC, and we've got both of our phones exactly how we left with them. Have stayed in my pocket for the entire day. So let's find out what they know. This is our man-in-the-middle device. It's basically a Wi-Fi network that these phones are going to connect to once we turn their Wi-Fi on. It's going to pass data through it on the way to Google, But on the way, we're actually going to get a copy of the same data that Google's going to get. We'll be able to decrypt it and then find out where we've been throughout the day. Within minutes, the numbers rolled in. The phone that wasn't on airplane mode registered more than 100 locations, 130 activities, and even 152 barometric readings. As soon as it hooked up to our Wi-Fi, it transmitted 300 kilobytes of data straight to Google. The phone even logged our exact locations, tracking us all around town, the Capitol, the hospital, the school, and the cathedral. The metadata has a time log down to the very second, tracking everything. When they think that you're walking, riding, and yes, even getting out of the car. Okay, so you're thinking, this isn't a big deal. I'll just put my phone in airplane mode. Yeah, we thought of that too. This is the other phone that we had with us that no SIM card also remained in airplane mode the entire time. Let's see what kind of data it captured. The phone with airplane mode activated actually logged more locations and activities than the other phone, and it also transferred hundreds of kilobytes of data to Google as soon as it was activated. The only thing that's missing from this map is our stop at the Children's Hospital, but it still knows we were there. Through complicated user agreements and free software, Google gets users to sign away their privacy for nothing. Google is watching you.
It certainly says a lot that this video looks like it was filmed at least 10 years ago. There's no telling what data these phones are collecting on us now. This should be pretty obvious though to anyone who watches a lot of true crime. I can't tell you how many murder cases I've seen solved where some genius decides to drive across 3 states to go confront his ex-wife and her new boyfriend, but he forgets to take his phone out of his pocket. I miss the old days where you could leave the house and nobody knew where you were and weren't able to keep tabs on you until you got home and checked your voicemail. I've tried multiple times now to walk away from this thing, but with me running this YouTube channel, it's just not an option for me anymore. We all signed away our rights to privacy around the same time that Google decided to drop their "Don't Be Evil" motto.
It seems like they just created this fake story of the plane going into the South Indian Ocean. That location in the Nicobar Islands is the location where they say these satellite pings all of a sudden say, oh, the plane just took a south turn right here and just flew for 5 hours in the middle of nowhere.
Blame the pilot. There was a testimony about that he took it into a dive.
And this, the thing about that is that there was a Cardiff University paper that was published in May of 2024, and they did tests on all different angles that the plane would have dived into the water based on its mass, and no matter what, it would have created a shockwave so powerful that it would have measured on the Richter scale. Like a 2 to 3 earthquake would have been detected, and they would have heard it.
Shouldn't we have been able to find it with today's technology?
No question we would have found it. And that's the most absurd part about this. Remember that Titan sub that imploded off the Titanic?
Yes.
The Navy heard it the moment it happened, and they didn't say anything. For 5 days, they didn't say anything about it. And then 5 days later, after they come out and admit, oh, yep, we heard that implode immediately, and by the way, we're gonna go pick it up. So not only did they hear it immediately, and this is a tiny submersible, they triangulated the exact location of the debris as well. They've got this system called SOSUS. It's the sound surveillance system. The Navy's had it for 70 years or so. They actually declassified it in the 90s because they have something better now. And they can pinpoint anything that happens in the ocean, basically anywhere. So it's absolutely ludicrous to think that they somehow don't know what happened to this massive airplane.
I didn't know about that Cardiff University study. I feel like that's pretty revealing. Of course, if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you probably already know what my opinion is on the Malaysian Airlines Flight 370. I think all the people on board got a first-hand look at some new government technology they don't want the rest of us to know about. But it's interesting how something this obvious, that there should have been actual data indicating its impact, but that issue was just simply never addressed. There's not even an explanation given online by anyone in an official capacity as to why this wasn't detected. However, as with most things that we know the government is lying to us about, there's so much constant corruption and obvious deception taking place, there's just not enough time to investigate everything that they lie to us about. Until some whistleblower comes forward who's willing to lose their life to expose this, we aren't ever going to get an answer as to what actually happened to that plane or any of the people that were on it.
This video is going to blow your freaking mind. What does RBD Cell, Andrew Dawson, artificial intelligence, aliens, and fallen angels all have in common? Giants. Let me show you. First, a quick recap for people who are unaware. Andrew Dawson went viral on TikTok because he found a giant on a mountain. Then later, in place of the giant was some military operations base or something weird. Then RBD Cell literally found a mountain that opened up for a giant to go in or come out of.
It's a person, dude. No, seriously, pull over. There. Right up there. That thing was open. It opened completely up, and then it closed back up. And there's a little slot in it right up there. You can see that little slot where it looked like somebody was staring out of. Dude, giants are freaking real. I don't care what anybody says.
And shortly after Andrew Dawson's videos on TikTok, he unexpectedly passed away. So my condolences to his family. As far as RB Diesel, I completely believe what he said, and I believe he'll prove it. Now, what's that have to do with artificial intelligence? Well, a very common flaw with artificial intelligence when it's illustrating a human, it shows them with 6 fingers. Why? Well, 6 fingers and 6 toes just happens to be a physical trait of the Nephilim. Yes, the giants, as Goliath had 6 and 6. So artificial intelligence, being fallen angel technology, of course, would illustrate man in their own image. It gets so much better. Just wait. For some reason, the popular opinion among theologians that giants was just something before the flood. But what does the Bible really say? There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, which means that the fallen angels are still mating with humans to this day. Bombshell incoming. Harvard.edu wrote an article themselves on a person who was abducted by aliens and had signs of trauma found. Watch this. And without getting too graphic, the abductee said the alien mated with him, and he's not the only one. The article said with abductees, there were many who had their eggs and sperm taken to breed. And fallen angels, being interdimensional beings, meaning they can take whatever physical form they want to, could show up as anything, including grays. And in doing so, could come upon humanity and breed with them and make giants. And I personally find this incredibly creepy, considering I was stalked by aliens or grays for years. I wonder if there's anyone else. The origins of the Nephilim continue, and they're definitely among us.
I love coming across new theories, and the connection that he's making between the AI always spitting out images of people with 6 fingers and the giants of scripture having 6 fingers, I think that's a pretty interesting connection. Pretty much everyone that I know, all my friends and all my family that's willing to listen to me talk about conspiracy theories, they've all entertained the idea at one point or another that all of this artificial intelligence stuff has something demonic behind it. Just look at all the reports coming out recently about people saying that they feel possessed by it, or how it's convincing certain susceptible people to do some really dark and twisted things. It genuinely feels like there's some dark force behind some of these AI models. Maybe this was another gift by the fallen angels to our government, just like all the alien crafts that they claim they picked up at some UFO crash site. And I know that this one's going to feel like a little bit of a stretch to some people, but if these AI models are supposed to be using our actual online photos of real human beings to put all this stuff together, why do they still occasionally spit out pictures of people with 6 fingers on their hand? Yet they almost always get the face mapped out perfectly. You would think it would be the exact opposite based on complexity of subject matter. I think this idea is really interesting.
Okay, everyone is talking about the 7-foot-tall black aliens. I am about to show you the actual clip from the interview, and this is Norman Bergen. Yes, he used to work for NASA, he used to work for Lockheed. He has some pretty amazing credentials. He actually passed away in 2018. He also has a book called Ringmakers of Saturn. There are tons of pictures and photographs in this book, but the book reveals that NASA's Voyager 1 and 2 space probes took photographs of an estimated 7,000 mile long elliptical cigar-shaped craft orbiting within the rings of Saturn. Now in his book, there's actually 2 of these objects. You know what else was cigar-shaped? The second interstellar object, 2I Borisov. Now you're going to hear the interviewer at the end mention this guy's name, and we'll get to him after.
Positing the idea that those vehicles contain, beings who are, maybe like us.
Yeah, I only go along with government images. And if you want to know about people kind of thing, there is the ship that picked up the Voyager capsule
at Alameda Naval Shipyard, and they have a picture there of I think it's the Apollo flight that Buzz and Neil were on. But anyway, there is one image there that shows people getting off.
So people with dark skin getting off. Black skin.
Really black.
Yeah. Were they tall?
Yep.
Very tall. How tall? Do you know?
Well, the doorway, I don't know how high that is, but say 7 feet would be probably a conservative estimate.
Have you heard about Clark McClellan's statement about that?
No.
Oh, you haven't? Have you ever been in touch with him?
No.
No?
Now, the reason she asked him about Clark's statement was because he said something very similar. He claims that in 1991, he saw an alien that was humanoid in form, stood on 2 legs, and approached 2 NASA astronauts in the cargo bay of the space shuttle. Norman said 7 feet was being modest, and Clark said they were about 9 feet. Now, Clark claimed that the government stripped him of his pension and forced him to live on Social Security. He passed away in 2021, and this year, they had an estate auction. You guys, I went and looked up the auction. Some of this stuff sold for like $100. It included museum quality collections of original photographs spanning nearly 40 space missions. He worked for NASA for 34 years. And not just at Cape Canaveral, he also did projects at Johnson Space Center in Texas. Here's just a sample of some of the photographs that were in that auction. Now, before I go, I'm going to leave you with one more clip from that interview.
Seen one on the ground in Antarctica.
Yeah?
He used to work for NASA. He used to work for Lockheed Martin. I just can't shake the feeling that he's highly likely some disinformation agent. I just can't believe him. And I know this guy wasn't the one giving his credentials, but I think it's hilarious how people will come forward with some new information and they'll make the claim of, you can trust me, I used to work for NASA. NASA lies to us about everything. And Lockheed Martin was recently accused of being the designer and manufacturer of the Tic Tac UFO. Unless this guy came out spilling the beans about the obvious lies that they've given us from NASA over countless decades, I'm just going to have a difficult time believing anything that he says. But in all fairness, this interview may have been him attempting to do that very thing. However, considering his story lines up so well with Clark McClellan, and they destroyed that guy's life for saying something similar, this likely wasn't a story that they wanted getting out in the public. What are y'all's thoughts on this one?
You guys know that 1913 was the year we actually lost control of our country, right? Oh, and just for historical context, World War I started in 1914. I mean, look, I'm sure that was a coincidence, but let me just tell you all the things that were created in 1913. First, the Federal Reserve, which is neither federal nor has any reserves. It's basically a private bank that just controls all of our money. Second thing created in 1913 was the IRS. And I'm sure it's just a coincidence that it was created the exact same year that a private bank took over all of our money. Yeah, I'm sure it's a coincidence that that was the year they started taxing you. Like, you work, they print, and then you pay them back with interest. Yeah, that makes sense. The next thing created was the Rockefeller Foundation. Yeah, and let's be real, that was all about philanthropy. It's not like they took control of medicine, education, science, and basically the health of the world. I mean, let's be real, all they were doing was donating money. Yeah, it's not like they were buying control of everything. Oh, and that worked out so well, right? Because people are healthier and more self-sufficient than ever, right? Oh yeah, also in 1913 was the American Cancer Society. I mean, that sounds like a good thing, right? That can't possibly be bad. Except it was completely funded by extremely wealthy people. But even though it was a charity, they never really gave to anyone. No, they just took their money and invested in pharmaceutical drugs. Oh, and chemo. Yeah, instead of taking that money and investing in companies that were trying to find a cure, no, we'll just invest in companies that use chemicals from the military that were later banned. Yeah, that's a good thing to keep putting into people. Then also created in 1913, the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, which sure, yeah, it's about civil rights. Yeah, totally, it's not about censoring people or, silencing critics. And then in 1914, we had World War I. And that became the first war ever that private industry profited from war. The private industry that's owned by the same families that created the Fed, the IRS, the Rockefeller Foundation, the American Cancer Society, the ADL. Again, just a coincidence. Oh, I'd also like to point out that a year prior to 1913, 1912, yeah, that was when the Titanic sank. And it's funny how 3 of the wealthiest individuals on that ship were the loudest voices opposed to central banking. Oh, and there's also the little tidbit that J.P. Morgan was supposed to be on that boat, but he canceled at the last second. But yeah, that's conspiracy. That's tinfoil hat talk. So what's happened since 1913? Well, the dollar has lost 99% of its value. Our debt has just become like a number that we ignore. Middle class getting daily. War is now an industry instead of a conflict. Oh yeah, and your money isn't real anymore. Like, it's just not real. It's not backed by anything. It's just numbers on a paper that private bank prints. So guys, look, if you're worried about America being conquered or, a rebellion or it being taken over, I just want you to recognize that you're more than 100 years too late. That already happened in 1913.
I didn't hear anything in that video that I would consider to be misinformation or anything being implied that shouldn't be common knowledge today. They need to be teaching all this stuff in high school. This is the story about how a few elitists started demolishing our country's constitution, how they placed a permanent elitist group of war-hungry Satanists in charge of everything. And if you haven't dug into the conspiracy surrounding the sinking of the Titanic, that is a really fun rabbit hole to go down. That was essentially the 9/11 of 1912. That was over 100 years ago. And there are still people who haven't figured out yet that if you're saying things the government doesn't like and you have a voice loud enough to be heard, the government will permanently shut your mouth for you. There are people who genuinely think, for example, that all of the mysterious deaths surrounding the Clinton Foundation are just a conspiracy theory. It boggles the mind.
You know, on July 8th, when 99% of the world's population is in sunlight and it's impossible on the globe, check this out.
They have a little opening chat before Dave moves on to what he's calling the impossible day. Let's get into it.
So let's get into the 70% of the Earth. So this is a graphic from the Weather Channel. You can't light a ball up like this. The line should be halfway. It shouldn't light up more. That's game over right there. We're not a globe.
Of course, what Dave is failing to realise here is that on this image he's showing, they are just leaning the globe towards the audience to show how much of it is lit. You can't see the Terminator line on the other side, so you can't claim how much of it is lit up.
How can you say they're only showing one side when literally both sides? It's flipped. I know because he got it from this animation from the Weather Channel, and it clearly shows way more than 70% of the entire globe has to be lit in order for this to happen.
By the way, I'm not sure where you're getting this 70% thing from. The graphic on the screen clearly says 99%, which is of course the global population on that day in daylight and twilight, not surface area of the globe.
Well, where we get 75% is because it is physically impossible to light the globe 50% and get 99% of the world's population in that sunlight. Google's AI says it would be approximately 86% of the globe covered in light in order to get 99% of the population. And ChatGPT, what do you say?
On July 8th, because most people live in the Northern Hemisphere, the majority of the world's population is in daylight. For that to happen, all continents except Australia need to be in sunlight at the same time, which means that about 70% of the Earth's surface is illuminated. This alignment ensures that nearly everyone is in daylight at once.
Well, there you have it. Well, Google and ChatGPT can't really agree on the percentage exactly, but they both agree that it's more than 50%.
No, it's not. Only 50%, or very slightly over due to refraction, will ever be lit up. Never 70%. Like you say, that's not possible on a ball. And again, it's not 99% of the world. It's 99% of the population, as it clearly says on screen.
Okay, Simon Dan, I'm glad you said that. Now remember you said that because I'm going to hold you to it. Oh, and real quick, just in case you missed it, here it is demonstrated on the flat Earth model. There's all the sunlight where it needs to be.
Now let's look at it on a globe. So here we have a globe set up at its 66.6 degree tilt. We have a sun on the other side of the garage. Now here that pink is Australia. We're going to put Australia right in the dark. just like it is. And then we're going to run around to the other side and we're going to take a look. And Houston, we have a problem. All of South America is in the dark.
Now, at first glance, this looks awful for the globe, but if you have a look at their setup, you can see why it's wrong. They have the tilt of Earth as if it's the summer solstice, June the 21st, but the date on their map they just looked at was August the 13th. I'll mock it up with my globe in the correct position so you can see how it works.
Oh, okay, so we might be wrong. All right, Simon Dan, educate us. Show us on the globe how it works.
Right, so you can see here that I have the globe set up off center. So this here would be the summer solstice, but I've got it now set up here. So this is sort of August time. You can see clearly that the US coastline is just in the dusk there as per the diagram. And if you come around here, we can see that China is in sunlight and dusk. So it absolutely is possible to do on a globe.
As I said, completely plausible on a globe.
Simon Dan, you have on screen half of China and Russia in the dark. Here's your Terminator line, and look at all of this land in the dark. How do you show your people this with honesty and integrity? They're looking at this. And you're calling this a debunk video? Not to mention that you have Eastern China completely in the dark, which is 94% of their entire population lives in that region that was in the dark. This is why I believe this battle is 100% spiritual, because here he tries to demonstrate why we are wrong, and he shows exactly why this is impossible and how it cannot happen.
So the claim that science is making here is that 99% of the world's population receives some degree of sunlight at 11:15 UTC, or Coordinated Universal Time, not only on July the 8th, but from around May 18th to July 17th every year, about 60 days. It says here that the only large land masses on the night side are Australia, New Zealand, and parts of Southeast Asia and Antarctica. Seriously? They expect us to believe this? I think science just convinced me that the Earth may be flat. My mind is blown. How do they seriously expect someone to believe this explanation? The Earth is tilted a specific way, and the sun slowed down, and the combination of those two occurrences makes light wrap around to the backside of a globe? That's not physically possible. They're clearly lying about this. And yes, that is literally the ridiculous explanation that they give to explain away this phenomenon. It looks to me like they're trying to explain this away, but they can't use any logical explanation for it. If we are on a flat plane and they're trying to hide that fact, there would be no way to explain something like this happening. And when you read their explanation, it isn't one. I'm going to leave a link in the description of this video where y'all can go and read what I'm looking at, so you can see the same data that I'm seeing. It was literally the top search result on Google when I looked this up. I didn't dig and cherry pick. I believed the Earth was a globe before I watched this video. I thought I was going to dig around and find out that the whole video was just nothing but make-believe. I didn't even believe that this happened, but apparently it is, and they don't have a way to explain it where it makes any sense. I can see it's not physically possible for us to be on a globe if this has taken place every year for 60 days. I'm kind of shocked. Y'all need to go read that article. Just go look at the pictures and the diagrams that they're using to try to explain this away. Just think about this. I've got my video light right here behind my camera. The front half, you have a Terminator line essentially going around each edge on both sides of the globe. Everything that you're seeing right now, that's all that could be in light. Everything I'm seeing is in darkness. And if you want to light up this stuff over here, the Earth's got to be facing a different direction. I feel like an idiot. But guys and gals, this has been an interesting video. I hope you come back and join me for the next one. I appreciate y'all tuning in today and watching my brain melt. But I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope y'all enjoyed these clips we watched together today. I hope y'all got as much out of them as I did. I'll be back soon with another video. I hope you come back to join me. And don't worry, I'm not going to just solely start focusing on flat Earth stuff. I'm just shocked to have discovered this. But don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, don't forget to check out my merch store at barry-stepp.com, and don't forget to post your photos of your merch over in the Discord to get your photos in a video. But guys and gals, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next one.